the word let appears quite a number of places when you're doing proof, so it's important to know exactly what this means. Um, I think it's good to clarify that you shouldn't overuse this word. That sometimes happens, and so I want to really clarify what that overuse looks like through these slides. But then I think sometimes the other thing that happens is sometimes people try to underuse this word, right? To say, oh, I don't want to make those errors, so I won't write let ever, right? So there are times you're required to write this word let, like when you're proving for all x in the set S, then you need a sentence that's going to be let x in S, period, end of that sentence. So there are times that you're going to need this. It's unavoidable, but there are times so there are times you need it, but then I think because people don't always get that clarification of exactly what the heck just happened, people end up overusing it. So um, the word let, just in a nutshell, it defines or it introduces what a new variable means in the rest of your proof. So for that sentence that starts with the word let, from then that sentence is introducing your new variable, and then every sentence after that, the rest of your proof, um, that variable is now set. What it means. Okay. The thing is, the overuse is you don't want to redefine a variable in your proof, and this word let is defining what a variable means. So for example, you can have there are legitimate reasons you'd write a sentence like this: let m in S. Typical situations I can think of two. So if you have for all something, a variable in S, comma dot dot dot, whatever follows, that'd be a typical reason. Maybe it is even a for all m in S, but it doesn't matter what variable's here because this is just a placeholder variable actually. So um, it could be a for all Q in S. It could be for all T in S. And you might have just said, oh, I like M, so I'm going to use M here. That's fine. Also, if you're proving that S is a subset of another set, then you would also, typical to have this kind of thing. It's going to be required for a subset proof. Now, writing this sentence here, right? What this does is it tells the reader, it instructs the person reading the proof. Hey, reader, you can select any element from S that you want. The reader doesn't have to tell you which element was selected, but you have to be able to refer to it. So from this moment on, whatever was selected is called M. It's kind of a mystery what thing was selected, right? Because the reader's not telling you. So, but from this point on, you can still refer to M, and you just can refer to it in the singular. You don't have to keep saying for all M, for all M. You just call it M. It's just M. It's one thing, and it stands for whatever the reader selected. Okay. At this point onward, though, once you have written your let M in S, in any future sentence, you should not redefine what M is with another let sentence because this you this the reader selecting the thing from S, and then whatever the reader is dreaming of, that's the value of M. That so in this moment, you are instructing the reader to make an action, and then the action that the reader takes ends up defining M. So in this case, we kind of say that the instruction that you give itself is kind of also defining M, isn't it? So I want to really clarify. Writing let M in S defines M. So the reader selects something from S to be M, and though you might not know exactly the identity of what this M is, you don't know what it is for sure, you just know it's in S, the reader did assign the value of M. So this sentence really ends up defining M. Okay, this let M in S, even though it doesn't feel like you defined anything, because you don't know what it is, it defined M. Okay, so let M in S defined what M is. It defines M. Now, the other kind of way that let appears might look like this. So let's just, for the sake of discussion, let's just say that in your proof, you're moving along and k is already defined to be something. I don't know what, but let's just say it's already there, right? Then as sample text, you might legitimately write in your proof, let u equal k squared plus 5. I can think of at least one very typical situation for doing this. This would be if you're proving there exists u in set such that and whatever follows after. And it might not even be a u here, but I just try to make it match that. Even if this was like a W here, you could still do let u equal this as long as u hasn't been used yet in your proof. Also, maybe you'll do something like this just because you're writing out your proof and realizing, I'm writing k squared plus 5 all over the place. I don't want to write that all over the place, so I'll just once and for all define k squared plus 5 to be a u, and then everywhere else that in my proof I kept writing k squared plus 5, I can just write a u instead. It's a substitution. So it's not really, I'd say the second kind, it's not like really doing anything substantial in your proof, but it's just kind of a convenience or laziness thing. Okay, so but there's at least this, like really one true actual reason you would be writing a sentence like this into a proof. So then just some comments about this is that when you write this kind of sentence, this defines you, certainly, right? Because it defines you by assigning to you the value k squared plus 5. And from this point on, you can just say you. You can just refer to you. But then, because u has been defined, you should never redefine u with another let sentence. Because again, the word let defines, right? So it happened previous slide. It happens here. Let m in s. This defines the variable m. So just like this also, you don't want to redefine u. So if you write let u equal k squared plus 5, great. But then a future sentence in your proof shouldn't be let u equal k squared plus 3. And a future sentence shouldn't be let u in the set, capital H or whatever, right? You can't redefine u with another let sentence. Also, we should comment that writing let k squared plus 5 equals u is incorrect. This seems like it should be legal, right? Because there's the word let, and then you've got this equation, and it feels like you ought to just be able to switch the two sides. This is this rare situation in mathematics with an equal sign where the sides actually matter. The order of the sides matter. Immediately after the word let, you must have a new and unused variable. Okay, so to review, we've got these two kinds of let sentences. I just copied the two that we had from earlier, and one of the reasons we can't even swap the two sides of this equation form, the second kind, is that immediately after the word let, you've got to have a new variable. So let m in s, we're just assuming here that m wasn't used yet in the proof, or let u equal whatever, assuming that u wasn't used yet in the proof. In both cases, both kinds of sentences here defines a new variable. By the way, you should never write let variable in set such that, and then some additional text. So up to this much, let variable in set, right, before the such that looks like this right here. So that would be fine, but end it with a period. But if you include this such that, and then you include some additional things here, this is very dangerous. This leads to lots of errors. So here's an example of this bad form, right? So if somebody wrote let x in z such that x squared equals x minus 3, this is problematic. You might say, well, what's wrong with that? Why can't I write that in my proof? Well, or why can't I write anything else that's grammatically in the same form? Let variable in set such that, and then stuff. This is not good because is there even an x in z where this is true? If you go through every possible integer, you'll find there's no case of an integer squared equaling that integer minus 3. It just doesn't happen. Go ahead and use a graphing calculator. Graph y equals x squared. Graph that parabola. Then graph the line y equals x minus 3. Those two shapes don't intersect. That parabola and the line, they don't intersect each other. So that's why this is problematic, right? If you wrote a sentence like this, it's easy as the writer of the proof to not even check, wait, does this happen? And then you think you've done something in that sentence, and then you're moving along and you're referring to x in the next sentence and so on, where the reader, if they're careful, is like, you just tried to make x a thing, but there isn't even a thing that x could be. And then they're stuck. There's nothing, that moment on, in some sense, there's nothing else to read of your proof, right? So you really have to avoid this dangerous form, let variable in set such that blah, because it's so easy to write something in this non-careful manner, and you think you've done something, you think you've advanced the proof one step forward, but really nothing has happened at all. What's written is actually creating the situation of, but there is no possible value I could choose for the variable where the condition after the such that is true. So you want to avoid this format.